and welcome to Think About It. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host, and I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. Today, my guest is all the way from Australia just to talk to us today. And we're going to be talking about a really cool tool and the science behind the tool that involves merging neuroscience, technology, positive psychology, and to help us communicate with other people and to help us stay motivated. And there's a whole lot more, but I'm going to let Kim talk about that with you. So Kim, welcome to Think About It.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. It's such an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be here in DC.
And our viewers are going to stay enthralled with the show because they hear your wonderful Australian accent, even though you don't think you have an accent.
That's very sweet of you. So thanks if that's going to help to listen in, lean in. I'm here to share with you the best that I can, as fast as I can, about the power of positive priming and what that has to do with us being our best.
Ooh, positive priming. I'm picturing this pump.
That's a good
priming.
idea. It's a good analogy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because when I work with people to help them get their ideas out, I do it very visually. And so what really appealed to me when I first heard about Mind PT, Mind Power Technology, was the visual and the audible nature of it. So let's backtrack though first, because our viewers have no idea what I'm talking about. What in the world is Mind PT, and how do you come to be the founder, merger, creator?
Wow, thanks. It's really been a 25-year journey in a fascination of ourselves, people. Why do we do what we do? Why won't we do what we know that we should do? That could include saving 10% of our income every week for 30 odd years. That could include drinking more water, going to sleep earlier, having chamomile tea on the way to bed. I mean, the truth is we as human beings, we have all of these inspired ideas about what we need to do or want to do in order to achieve more and enjoy more and create meaning and contribute and all these fabulous ways of living. But the reality is that some of us fall a little short sometimes, or life gets in the way. There are challenges and complexities and obstacles, and we just need to figure out who are we really and how do we work and how can we make ourselves work a whole heap more beautifully. So Mind PT is really a platform. We're a publishing company. We're a fast-growing tech startup in edutech, I suppose, if you want to position us like that. But the reality is that we really create and curate training and development programs in an accelerated learning format. And we harness about 17 different really key ingredients, put it in a little formula, and present to you this, and I want you to imagine. Or you can take a little look now. There's a series, thousands of flashcards, and our technology specifically speeds up the delivery of those individual messages. So I want you to imagine there are about 800 spectacular, stunning, emotionally evocative images that are precisely curated, because each and every single one of those photographs, these images actually play with, you ready? Your mirror neurons. So underneath this area in your brain where I say your halo will grow from, the reality is that you've got this miraculous, marvelous part of your mind. Your eyes process everything, about 11 million bits of information per second, but we can really only pay attention to or attune to about 40 bits. And so the questions then become, well, what 40 bits am I paying attention to and why? And so the reality is that you can manipulate or you can steer and direct your own reticular activating system. That's a part of your brain that is choosing which 40 bits. So if you're trying to learn something or change something, and a lot of this started in my career in change management consulting. I was in the field of mergers and acquisitions for huge corporates. I was fascinated in organizational psychology. That led me down a pathway.
Man, it's like a winding pathway.
Yeah.
You say, when you just said that, I thought, that's so stiff and staid and...
And you know what? Mind PT is actually this delightful experience, isn't it? So we've scientifically proven now that all you need to do is watch this series of, in particular, images, but I want to give you a really good example. So let's just say we now know in social science that when you look at me smiling,
Okay.
right? If my smile is genuine and decent and sincere and honest and authentic and real, do you know what? Your body recognizes that through what you process in your eyes, and it starts this cascade. So this chemical cocktail's created, and more serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin, these hormones that are really very, very valuable for the way that our minds operate efficiently and gracefully and effectively. It literally starts us to produce these neurotransmitters that we need, and it lights up areas of our brain that are precisely responsible for creativity and innovation and decision making, so that we're exceptional in those areas. Now, positive priming is a relatively new concept. There's some amazing scholars, incredible research studies, and I'm really lucky that we seem to have created this tool that fits really nicely, fairly and squarely in there. It was included in Sean Acor's O course on the Oprah Winfrey Network last year, which is a great honour. He's very generous for including us. But essentially it's because the tool is actually very, very effective and extremely affordable. So in addition to these images of smiles, still with me?
Yes, because you've been smiling this whole time.
What actually happens is that your brain doesn't know it's not you smiling. When you see me smiling, if I actually present to you lots of smiles, the reality is that you start to produce this chemical cocktail as if you were smiling, because your brain thinks that you're smiling. So you could either go into the bathroom several times a day and look in the mirror, or the restroom as Americans call it.
Okay. Or the loo or whatever.
Yeah, or your master ensuite, and smile at yourself. And when you smile at yourself, this unbelievably fantastic thing is starting to happen inside your brain, and it's very healthy for you. You're going to actually feel more positive, and positive emotions then drive all sorts of wonderful outcomes. There are incredible studies that show that we become smarter and faster when we positively prime, and there's a famous study with some doctors. They actually make more accurate diagnoses faster when they're positively primed. We have children who are more positively primed at the beginning of every day, who actually are just calmer, they pay better attention, they're more mindful, their results are actually a show of their engagement.
Wow.
It's pretty extraordinary what positive priming can do, and anybody can do it. I mean, you don't need our tool, but our tool makes it a whole heap more simple. There's a lot of sophistication behind it, but you could just smile at yourself. And each other. But what about those of us who are in work environments, or we're,
I know, I'm thinking,
in the traffic jam and we can't smile?
Of a commute that I sometimes take on our public transportation, on our train we call Metro. And I mean, when I come on, because I'm working for myself, I feel so different from when I used to work for somebody else. And you get on the train and you just see seat after seat after seat, and everybody's like, and I think, oh my God, what a miserable feeling on the train.
Totally, and you know what? Your mirror neurons are processing that. So your pre-conscious processing is literally deciphering for you how the rest of your day is actually going to translate by what it is that you see. So why don't you put something in front of your eyes that's really powerful? But it's not just the images, because we might have a certain ratio of these 800 images that are Duchenne smiles. That's the social scientific term for a genuine, authentic, sincere, real smile.
Instead of our Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Exactly. But we might also have these landscapes, these spectacular sceneries. And that's because there's some relatively new research that shows when you experience awe, so something's awe-inspiring, whether that's magnificent music or a really moving piece of art, or in fact the petting of your little pussycat or your puppy dog, whatever makes you feel like you're in awe of life, that actually literally gives you a boost to your immune system. So we can do that by showing you particular types of images of spectacular landscapes. We can also now know through these research studies that if we show you images of urban environments, but there's about 70% tree canopy, if we show you lots of green tree canopy, irrespective of whether you're in nature or not, you will literally have your stress response system, your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system balancing out. And so it's actually very calming. When your mind is calm, when you feel calm, you actually allow access to the resources that you have to solve the problems and deal with the complexities. So the whole body of our work is really about how do you develop these emotional muscles, your emotional intelligence, how do you become more resilient? Because all of us have life that happens, and some of it's not pretty. So we may as well just deal with the facts and figure out how we then take the best and make lemonade out of lemons. And that's really what this tool does. But even more than that. So there's a part of me that is change management, but I literally changed the entire trajectory of my career, and I went back to school and I studied sports therapy. And about 18, 17, 16 years ago, I developed what is now commonly known as hot stone massage under a brand called Lithos Therapy. And we had thousands of therapists train and qualify using thermotherapy and cryotherapy. But the principles of repetition and resistance and building muscles, including emotional muscles or mental muscles, that really stuck with me as a sports therapist, and I applied it in this particular area. We were very lucky to have years and years and years of training these gorgeous, very beautiful, soulful human beings that like to care and heal in places like the Four Seasons resorts in Bali, or this amazing health retreat in the we call them the Himalayas, or the Himalayas. The Himalayas as the Western words. So the truth is that I was inspired a little bit about how do you actually merge science with spirituality, but how do you actually have a synthesis of these ideas from change management, positive psychology, and neuroscience to bring about something that's in essence really affordable, it's easy, and it's now in an app. So it's on the go, it's convenient. But you know what? The next step is, let's just say I come across somebody I really admire, like say Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul, who was the author of The Success Principles. Well, I thought if I could summarize his book, or if he could summarize his book, and he could give me just the key messages of what he wants, so that I've got really powerful, potent self-talk, so that I've got a cheerleader inside of me instead of an inner critic. What if in each one of these Mind PT sessions, which is one of these training and development programs, what if I could actually have Jack coaching me on the go 24/7? That idea has now literally rolled out over 200 Mind PT sessions, where we've worked with amazing people like Christine Carlson, who's the co-author of Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and like you, Sylvia, right? And like lots of other really amazing professionals in social work, in holistic healing and nursing, or in body work, or estheticians, or executive coaches, or training specialists. We actually literally started to create these particular Mind PT sessions in a custom way for anybody who wants an accelerated training and learning tool. So that's really what is Mind PT. It's such a long answer.
Okay, no, but that's great, and we're going to have to take a break in a minute. So just to kind of summarize what I'm hearing so far, it sounds like, and you mentioned sports, so the whole time you've been talking, I'm picturing the Olympic skiers that I see, who stand up, or anybody, but the skiers who stand on the top, and you see them do this. And you see them literally doing their motions as they're visualizing in their brain the run that they're about to take. And my understanding is that their body is reacting the way it's going to react when they go down the slope. That
absolutely precise.
Okay.
Absolutely precise.
Cool. So when we come back from the break, do we go deeper into the science, or what else? I want to go deeper into the science a little bit, but I also want to let viewers hear, so how do I use this on a day-to-day basis? Sure. How do I use this to be more productive at work, to be happier when I get on the bus? I have to laugh. I get on sometimes and I smile at people and they're like, what's wrong with her? So
you're positively priming them. Sylvia.
So when we come back, we'll go a little bit deeper and then start, how do we apply this to our own lives? So with that, we'll be right back.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Hello, welcome back to Think About It. I'm still Sylvia Henderson, your host, and we are talking about mind-powered technology with my guest all the way from Australia, Kim Serafini. I keep saying that just because I think it's so cool.
I think you're cool.
Thanks.
It's so wonderful to be here. I really appreciate you being interested in How do we be our best, and how do we harness the power of our mind? There's a potency there that is seriously extraordinary. And the reality is that so much of our life's work comes about, there's more meaning, there's more positivity. We end up leaving a legacy, as you know, when we pour our hearts and our minds and our soul into a mission that's actually far greater than us. And that's really what Mind PT is. So, you know, I love being here, and I'm loving the opportunity to just share.
It's interesting you said leaving a legacy, because I'm thinking, okay, the name of my personalized version is, I think, From Ideas to Impact, something about impact, income, and to leave a legacy. So that's...
Your Mind PT session is amazing. We should probably explain to all the viewers what we're talking about, right?
I know, we shift ahead like three steps.
So we're really a publisher, right? So we work with lots of extraordinary world-class thought leaders and authorities and teachers and New York Times bestselling authors. And what we're really doing is we're harnessing the essence of the message, and we're summarizing it so that, let's just say you've read a book and you think, oh wow, I'm going to implement that great idea. Well, this allows you to literally have that idea be absorbed by every cell in your body through the power of your mind. And it actually literally automatically internally inspires from within you the changes in behavior that are necessary to bring about new habits, to bring about changes, and ultimately the best results that you could want for yourself. But we actually tweaked the technology, because I know that you were asking me in the break, how do you actually personalize it for its best effect? The reality is that we now know, out of lots of amazing new science in emotional intelligence and engagement and various other linked bodies of research, that you will literally accelerate your own behavior change, and you'll be inspired to do so from within when you are emotionally engaged in the material, the content. Okay. Now, we can do that very easily for you by inserting your personal name. You're actually attracted to your own name. And so your name appears throughout the session in your own private safe account, and it's all secure inside the app. But even more unbelievable than that is you're going to react in a much more, I think, empowered and enriched way when you see images of yourself, and indeed images that really have some significance for you. So in my personal sessions, I can upload photos, as you can, and anybody on the planet can do this with their own Mind PT sessions. They literally could put in the photograph of when they graduated from college, because that could have been a proud moment, and that could actually remind you.
If it's a positive.
Exactly. Well, you know what? It could remind you that at least you achieved something.
Oh, okay.
You finished something that you started, right? Or you might actually put the time when you climbed a mountain, because that could have been an achievement for you. It's a touchstone. It literally triggers your memory, and it actually helps you to feel more successful. It helps you to feel more positive. And we want that, because the reality is that that's what causes you to actually literally live your life in I think, a much better way. I think that you connect with people more deeply. Look, there are lots of outcomes that we know, like you sleep more soundly, you do think more clearly, you do end up improving your relationships, your communication is better, it's clearer. There are a lot of other aspects that we now know, but the point is that I think that you just want to have less stress in your life. I think you want to be able to deal with the complexities, the obstacles, the problems in a much more graceful and elegant and easier way. That really, for me, is the upside.
Now, all this happens just from using this app?
Absolutely, it does actually.
Okay.
I think we're fortunate that we combine so many different aspects. There, of course, is the specific ratio of certain types of images that are being carefully curated. There's very precisely written statements as self-fulfilling prophecies.
Okay.
What happens, of course, with our brain, if we really want to understand a little bit of the science, if I say, Sylvia, you are loving, loved and lovable, or Sylvia, you are incredible, your business acumen is amazing. The reality is your brain, because you're human, goes off in search of the answers or the evidence that supports those beliefs.
Okay, I'm going,
yeah, totally, right?
Deep down inside.
You're accessing all of these resources and you're thinking, you know what? We have this insatiable appetite as humans to be right. We like to be accurate and right. Now, of course, that saved our lives when we were right about the tiger about to kill us, and we're running through the jungle.
Right.
So it's a part of a reptilian brain. It's a part of, our evolution. But the point is that I want you to be right about the fact that you can do it and you will do it, and you're really grateful for the opportunities. I want you to be right about the right kinds of empowering self-fulfilling prophecies.
Okay.
So the statements that you see inside each Mind PT session are really quite precise. We're activating your brain to work in a completely different way. You'll see, like, I am smart. So my brain goes off and it actually proves to myself how smart I am, because there are days when I don't feel so smart.
Okay.
Right? And so I've got to remind myself, you know what, you're actually a really clever girl, you can do this. Or you're a really clever woman, you're a really clever guy or a man, whatever it is that your own self-talk does. But you know what, if I see a statement that says, you are clever, I feel like that's come from somebody I admire and respect, someone in authority, and I believe it. I actually believe it more. The you are statement. So a lot of the particular types of words that we use in a Mind PT session are there for a really clever reason. So it's not just the words and it's not just the images, it is the personalizing aspect of it. You can put your own goal statements in there. So you might have a goal for a certain sales target. Now, you also might have a goal for being more cool, calm and collected in dealing with certain situations where you would otherwise be experiencing anxiety. So you might have triggers for yourself, so you can personalize it. It's really important, actually, you do that in an accelerated learning format.
Okay.
The other thing is that when you watch a Mind PT session, you can speed up how quickly you watch it. On speed 1, you can actually relax into it. You can read all the statements. You can engage in all the images. You can imagine that as if it's this visualization process. It's a very powerful mindfulness practice. It's like open eye meditation. There is this visual hypnotic aspect to it. But you really want to relax into it, and you want to allow yourself to kind of feel as if you're emerging and flowing with the actual essence of the messages.
Okay.
At speed 10 though, the thing that has taken you an hour to watch is now only going to take you a couple of minutes. So we did some really powerful research. It was incredible. And it showed us that within 3 minutes on speed 3, right, you can literally positively prime yourself. We can prove it scientifically. And the effects last 6 to 8 hours.
And these are fast moving images where
They are.
I know when I looked at it, I know the viewers can't quite conceive of what 1 versus 10 is. I think I was on like 4 and they just flashed by. I couldn't even read them. But my understanding is my mind is reading, is absorbing
Absolutely. There are some people who call it non-conscious acquisition of information. It's an accelerated learning kind of phrase. But the reality is we're bypassing the conscious critical judgment factors of your prefrontal cortex. In that pre-processing way. Your other than consciousness is actually comprehending what it is that you're literally learning. And it starts to actually come about. It shows up in really automatic, natural ways. For example, we had a huge publicly listed travel company that trains thousands of travel consultants. They're sales agents, and they go through a 3-week university program when they begin. And they have to go through an assessment at the end. We custom created content for them, like we do for lots of other businesses or organizations. And the reality is that they gave us the feedback that those new recruits, they're novices, actually acquired the company culture and the language of the company, because the language was actually in these positive. They'd never experienced it before. They found all of these new recruits a lot less anxious, so there wasn't the same kind of stress levels when they were going into the assessments. And we've been tracking their performance, because the fascinating thing is that there are lots of new studies tracking sales performance of positively primed groups of employees, and we're literally seeing not just the 31% increase in productivity that we were imagining, but 300% increases in income. Right, so now we're actually in a whole different field because of other people's inspired applications for Mind PT.
So I'm like spewing with questions, and there's not that much time to ask them all. So to me, the implications on education, especially public education, are huge.
Totally.
So if teachers are watching this, I'm thinking not only is this attitudinal in changing, but it sounds like I can actually do one heck of an SAT study.
No, totally. No,
If I'm,
you're so spot
sort of
on.
exaggerating.
No,
but
you're not. No, you're not. And we're actually literally doing tests now to actually prove improvements in cognition.
Wow.
We really want unconscious and conscious, or it's like unconscious learning and conscious learning, explicit memory and implicit memory impacted. And we're seeing really positive signs in our studies. So it's very exciting. It's really very, very, very exciting.
Now this is, it's visual, but there's also audio to it. Is there a reason for the specific audio that you choose?
Well, there is, because of something called binaural beats or brainwave entrainment. But the point is that it's also personalizable. So inside the app, somebody can actually choose a song that's really fabulous for themselves, and they can marry it to their session. So they can actually have their own version of whatever the training and development, experience is like, which actually makes it more powerful. Funnily enough, there's lots of good research on that too.
Okay, so we only have a couple minutes left. How do people, you've been talking about this, how do people find out about how they personalize, but also get access to a lot of the lessons that are already out there, a lot of the training there?
Wow. Okay, so we go through a program, we teach you, we provide you resources. We've got tens of thousands of members who are joining us because they're finding a subject of interest, whether it's in relationships or finances or their health and well-being. Sylvia, why don't we send everybody to your website? Because the reality is you have a very, very beautiful Mind PT session, but not only that, it's really, really inspiring and effective.
Thank
right?
you.
So I want people to experience you on the go, in their pocket, within the app, all the time.
And so that website, and it was, I developed it because as I work with people to get their ideas out, they come out for me with a blueprint. I mean, the how-to get to the next step. And I got frustrated because even with the blueprint, people would say, people still wouldn't take action. And I thought, what can I do to get them past that stuck? Because they now have the how, but they're not ready to do the what. So you can go to ideasuccessnetwork.com/mindpt. Simple. ideasuccessnetwork.com/mindpt. And I have a session there. If you use the code IDEA, singular, IDEA, you can access, I guess, my session.
Absolutely. So anybody on the planet can download Mind PT just from the iOS store, for example.
That's right.
And when they...
And Google Play. I'm an Android person, so either one.
Totally. And when you get started, you'll have to register to create your own secure account.
Okay.
And so you put your name and your email address and your password, and there's an area for a referral code.
Okay.
So your referral code literally gifts people your training and development program, and it's valued at $47 US. Every single one of our programs is around about that $50 mark. The reality is that we like to make things more affordable through our memberships, but your session is amazing.
Kim, so much more to cover. Thank you so much for being on the show. And your website is actually mindpt.com to learn a lot more about you. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Going back to Australia.
Thank you.
And there'll be a lot more about this.
Thank you.
All righty. And with that, I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. And I wish you to make a great day.